Hey guys, it's Mark from Denmark Bros, coming to you live from my kitchen again. Today I'm going to show you a little recipe that our father and grandmothers have shown us in the past. And it's a type of recipe that the new generation of kids are probably not going to do. It's all the old recipes that were handmade and were shown from generations to generations, but it seems to be disappearing. What I'm going to be cooking for you today is green tomato relish. It's a mixture of green tomatoes with onions, and I'll show you how it goes. But I'm going to do a little twist to this. I'm going to try doing it with zucchinis also. So it's going to be a green tomato zucchini relish. So the first thing we're going to have to do is go in the garden and grab ourselves some green tomatoes. So here we go. Okay, so we're in my garden right now. We're going to pick up some green tomatoes for the relish. Okay, for now, this is what we've got. So we're going to start off the chow, or the relish, and if we need more I'll come out and get a little bit of the smaller ones, although they're a bit too small, so we're probably just going to do a small batch with this. Alright, at this point we've got all our tomatoes picked and I've cleaned them already. So what I have to do is start slicing them off. I'm going to take the bottom part off, the top part off with the stem, and just slice the rest of the stuff. So here we go. I'm going to be using our handy dandy little Miracle Blades that we got from Canadian Tire. Beautiful knives. I wouldn't leave home without them. They cut really well, and I just love them. Alright, as you guys can see, I've got all my tomatoes sliced up. What I'm going to do next is take my onions, slice them up just the same, and get them ready with my tomato. Right after that, I'm going to take a zucchini and slice that up just the same. Then I'll show you what the next step is going to be. Alright, here we go. Cutting my eggs. I'm not crying. It was just something was in my eye. Yeah. Onion juice. I wasn't crying. No. It's go on. Okay. Tomatoes are cut, onions are cut. Now, zucchini. Denis got these growing in his garden. He had lots of them, so gave me one. I thought I'd try the tomato relish with zucchini. So, gotta cut this bad boy up. Here we go. Okay, I'm gonna try to cut this straight down the middle as much as I can. And what we'll do, I'll use my other knife and cut down the middle and take out the seeds. Because the seeds are not going to do too well in the chow, I'm assuming. The seeds go fairly deep. Try to get this out as much as I can. I'm sure that a spoon would do a better job, but anyways. So once I've got these ready, I'm just going to chop those up. Just like tomatoes and onions. Okay guys, zucchini's cut, onions cut, tomatoes are cut. Now the next step is to layer everything a little bit at a time in our pan. So we're going to take a few tomatoes, layer those down. Take the onions, layer those over top. Take some of the zucchini, layer that over top. Do our mix here. And now, in between each one of our steps, it asks us to take coarse salt, but I've only got table salt myself. The only thing with table salt, just don't put as much as you would coarse salt, because your chow is going to be extremely salty. So you just take a little coat of salt over top of your mix. What that's going to do is it's going to brine the vegetables that you've got in there. It'll draw out all the moisture from the vegetable and it'll marinate them. It'll soften them up, and you could almost say it pre-cooks the vegetable, but it's mostly softening it up because it draws out the water from it. So just keep taking all your vegetables, layer them out, put some salt, and then put the lid on your pan or your pot or whichever container you want to put it in. Put the lid on it, and then let it sit for at least 24 hours, a day and a half, even 2 days if you want. Then you're going to notice that all the moisture is drawn out of it. You're going to have to drain the water from the mixture. So I'll show you those steps a little later on. Let me keep going. Layers upon layers, and you add salt between each layer. Okay guys, we're back. It's been a little bit more than 24 hours that the tomatoes, onions, and zucchini has been sitting in its brine, and what I've done is, as you noticed, it's shrunk at least 1/3 of its original volume. The salt actually draws out the water from the vegetable. So what I did is I emptied the water, rinsed it out 3 times just to get the excess salt out of the mix. So right now it's just going to be a regular vegetable mix, and just with a little bit of salty tinge to it. So now what we're going to do is we're going to add 2 cups of vinegar to the mix. There we go. Right, and also to the mix, we are going to add a cup to a cup and a half of sugar. All depends on how sweet you like your pickling. I've got about a cup here, so I'm just going to go with a cup. It takes away all my sugar, so there you go. And also what you have to do is add some pickling spice. So we're going to add to either a cheesecloth, a J cloth, or whichever type of cloth that you want. I've got a just regular kitchen cloth. And I'm going to add 6 tablespoons of the pickling spice to the J cloth and tie it down and add it to the mix. Alright, the pickling spice has all sorts of stuff. It's got mustard seeds, it's got cloves, it's got bay leaves, it's got peppercorns. It's actually got quite a few things. Always put your stuff away, keep your house clean. So now, we've got the pig tie wrap. We're going to take the spice, make a little ball with it, and this is going to be added to your vinegar mix, and it's just going to add all these pickling spices, the flavors of everything, into your pickles. Tie it real tight so nothing falls out. There you go. So now we're going to mix everything together. Then what you want to do with your pickles is start the cooking process. So you're going to heat up the mix and bring it to a boil, and then turn it down to a simmer and let it cook for 30 to 45 minutes. This is going to be, it'll bring down the whole mix, it'll cook it down, because your tomatoes are green, they're raw, so it'll help them cook down. It'll cook down the onions. And the flavors will be unbelievable. So here I go. I've got the pickling spice inside the vinegar, so that's going to permeate throughout the whole thing. And as it cooks, it's going to draw more liquids from the vegetables. So don't worry about the liquids, there's going to be enough. Alrighty, let the cooking time begin. Alright, as you can see, we've got our vegetables at a full boil. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring down the temperature to a simmer and leave it there for 30 to 45 minutes. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the timer 45 minutes right away and let it cook unsimmered, let it cook uncovered on simmer for 45 minutes. So now you'll notice that the boiling is going to slow down, and then it's just going to slow cook. The vegetables have been simmering for about 30 minutes now. The juices have gone up a little bit. The vinegar seems to have thickened a bit, so the smell in here is just incredible. It's really, really nice smell. Vinegar and sugar, I don't know, but it smells really good. Okay. Alright, the cooking's done. I've added a few mustard seed to it, just to add a little bit more flavor while the pickling happens, while it's still in a jar. So it's just going to sit there for a little while to cool off, and then I'm going to be putting them in jars. Okay, so if you look right now, the Green Tomato Relish, or chow, is complete. I'll be putting them in these containers, the mason jars. Right now I've got some of the lids heating up just to make sure that it seals correctly and it disinfects the jar, cleans the tops. So here we go, we're going to go fill some of the jars. Okay, now that we've got the pickles in our jars, I ended up having 2.5 jars, so I'm going to put the lids on it. So just be careful, the water's really, really hot. Start by putting the lids on. and you'll notice almost instantly the seal on top of it, you kind of feel a suction because of the heat that's around it. It does a suction and it pulls the air out. So now, take the lids off. We're going to put that one back in. Take these on. Kind of hot. Oh yeah. Put this one back in. Just tighten them a little bit, not too hard because you'll never be able to open them. Just a little bit. And now a trick that I've seen from my in-laws. My mother-in-law, whenever she was doing all of her pickling, she was telling us that her father would do this as a little trick. It helps seal the pickles. What you do? Turn the jar upside down. What happens is that the seal gets much better at the bottom, and whenever they're ready, flip them over and the seal will be on very, very tight. Not too tight to turn it off. But if ever you're having problems, just run it under hot water. It'll loosen the sugar that's in your vinegar and you'll be able to open it. Alright, this is Mark from Denmark Bros from our kitchen.